Welcome to the Big Biz Show, featuring insight, analysis, and a lot of stuff that's none of your business.
Hold on. This is the Big Biz Show. I think it is their business.
Making the markets work for you. Here's the man with the plan, Sully.
Hey there, live from the Loft 100 studios in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz Show's on the air. Great to have along today Mike Costa, our co-host, Mary Burt Godwin, our co-host, and Greg Todoroff, our executive producer. And let's say hi to the DTC.
Yes, the
DTQ.
qual. We got Quattro.
Woo! Great to have you back, Mark Hattersley. Grandpa Hattersley, Gramps Hattersley, as they like to call him.
Gramps.
Can I, before we start the program, what in the actual hell is going on over with you two? Okay, so Devin, oh my God, does this look like?
Oh, these two.
Does this look like
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
like what could go wrong?
It looks like Siegfried and
Hey, first of
Roy.
all, Howie Font, who is clearly the adult in the room all the time, looks like right now that he was in what's the movie with about the weed Pineapple Express?
Oh yeah.
Get over here, you guys, both of you guys. Mike, I'm going to have you. Just hold the mic up for these guys. They're not Mike, but.
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, just stand. You guys both just stand right here.
What's the blazer have?
Stand right here. Okay.
The blazer, you said?
No, just just hang on a second. What in the God's name is going on with you? Like, what's your story with Mr. Florida? I know you went to FSU, but why do you look like you live at Devin?
That's no excuse.
Why do you look like you live at Devin's apartment?
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot's happened in the last 24 hours. I couldn't deal with his face. If you noticed, there's been some changes.
He shaved my face. He took my hand in my own body and shaved my face. We actually have some special stuff coming up for the Big Biz Show that'll explain this monstrosity.
So is this part of Devin and I'm sorry, Howie and Dylan, Devin and Howie, Howie and Dylan, Devin, Howie. What's part of your?
Kumar?
Yes, that one.
You guys need to have a channel.
Is this something happening to you too? Because I've been, it's been a rough 24 hours for me. I haven't looked like this since, well, never.
Well,
This is the most I've seen Greg talk this entire time, though. You know?
So, do we have more to look forward to?
Yeah, we got a couple things to look forward to. Apparently, he fired Howie this week, so we're gonna go down and see how that went down at the beach.
That would have been our Emmy Award-winning director, Jared Coleman, that would do that. Jared, say hello. Are you comfortable seeing Howie?
We don't need to talk to Jared anymore. My pink slip was enough. I'm done. Thank you very much. I don't know why I'm here actually.
I just
Like your last job.
go forward and
Go forward. All right, so look out for more Devin and Howie Do America.
Ooh.
Oh, I like
You guys need a channel. I'm telling you right now.
Big time.
Now I'm stuck. I have no more options without a job. This is all I have to do.
Royalty.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you anymore, so I just muted you. Take the mic down.
Here you go.
Howie and Devin, thank you, folks. Oh my God, jeez.
They can make money on YouTube.
I mean, when you
royalty.
look in like that.
No, I've never seen him undressed.
Okay, that was.
What I'm saying is,
You're saying that like that's
Thankfully.
the thing that, well, I should have seen him undressed by now. Is that what's going on in this organization?
you like movies about gladiators? No, I've never seen him without his sports coat.
A great reference to the movie Airplane in 1975.
Never spend any time in a turkey.
Oh, God.
You know, speaking of old movies, I feel so old when I'm talking to people like Devin and Howie
Oh my God.
about our time that we spent in record stores.
Oh,
Do you remember record stores?
I love
course.
records.
Do you guys recall going? I'm not talking Lose Records. I'm talking about Warehouse, Tower Records. Were you guys old enough to remember to go to the record stores? You? Probably not, Howie.
Is that how you listen to that late 1900s music?
Yes, late 1900s. Yeah, the classical music was all sold in record stores.
Right. Yeah.
Listen, I understand that the music business is more democratic now. More people have access to more artists and stuff. For me, I liked when you walk into a record store.
Yes.
And you walk into the record store, and first of all, there was a section that was dedicated to stuff from last year that was on sale, and then you went section by section. You could spend 3 hours in a record
Hours.
store.
Yep.
And even when we were growing up, they didn't have the turntables in the booths like they had in the 50s. You could listen to stuff. You could just roll through it and spend 3 hours.
Yeah.
Do you lament that? I mean, do you ever miss it?
That was a night out with my dad. He would take me every week or so because he loved music and I did.
Awesome.
And we'd spend time. We weren't together, but then we would just come with our records and be like, "What'd you get?" and talk about it. It was like,
Much more to come. I want to talk about this for a second. Because Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at SullyCrew.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Welcome to the Big Biz Show, featuring insight, analysis, and a lot of stuff that's none of your business.
Hold on. This is the Big Biz Show. I think it is their business.
Making the markets work for you. Here's the man with the plan, Sully.
Hey there, live at the Loft 100 Studios. Costa.
Yep.
Bert Godwin. Or is it Godwin?
BG, Mary BG.
Totally. MBG. MBG. MBG.
Notorious MBG.
That's right. Notorious MBG. Wow.
Hey.
Look at this. Greg Todoroff, you okay?
I'm okay.
You have to pee?
No.
You feel like you have to?
Do I look like I
I feel like you have to pee.
Is there a look
when Greg
that
sits
I
like
have?
this, he goes, I'm fine.
You got to use the facilities.
We did not say hi to the DTQ over there. D, Trader Quattro. The Qua. James, you, coming from a very, very musical family, you yourself playing with Eric Clapton, and who's the other guy? You have a big one. He had a big name. The guy that.
With Sergio Mendes?
Sergio Mendes, yeah. Oh my God.
Lionel Richie?
Lionel Richie, yeah. There you go. And Brian playing with Dave Matthews and James Brown, as well as Lauryn Hill, and these two other characters who just started taking lessons last week, Trace Sojourn Hodges and Mark Haddish. Do you guys been musicians your entire lives? Mark excluded. Mark and I are the only two people in the band that live bifurcated lives. But all of you that are musicians for a living, did you guys, as being on stage guys, did you also go to record stores back in the day? Did you enjoy that? Was that as important to you as it was to us?
Oh yeah,
Really?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do you miss that?
Yes.
Somewhat, yes.
See, because if I go into Lou's Records here in San Diego, it's just not the same.
Right.
I feel like I'm a burnout, because Lou's Records was always there with all the deep track stuff, and you had to be really one of those. See, I was a geek guy. My buddy Randy and I were geeks about knowing who the musicians were. So in other words, I knew of Nathan East, your brother, back when I was 25 years old. Mm-hmm. I knew that he wrote Easy Lover with Phil Collins, and Earth, Wind and Fire guy.
Phil
Bailey. Yeah. I knew of your brother before I knew you. I knew that, for example, Arnold McCuller, great vocalist, was one of James Taylor's band. I knew those types of things, but I wasn't the guy that went to the record store, those types of record stores. I went into Warehouse. I went into Tower Records. Do you guys ever remember a record store called Licorice Pizza?
Absolutely.
Do you remember Licorice Pizza?
I do.
Do you really?
I do.
I'm surprised because I thought Licorice Pizza went out of business way before you were born. So for me, I just thought my experience was start here, right?
Cut your hands on the cardboard as you're flipping through it. You get paper cuts.
Well, remember they had and I was always, were you a guy? I know James and I are the same guy in this.
I've always been a guy.
If I saw something misfiled, I'm going to file it for him.
Oh.
Really?
Me and James are.
I would never do it.
Oh yeah, but me and James are so OCD about that stuff.
It just
he and I are the same person on that. So What was your experience? Go ahead.
I was going to say, there's something to be said, though, for being able to listen to whatever you want, whenever you want.
I'm not saying that's exactly right.
And discover new artists, because Spotify algorithm will introduce me to all sorts of new music that I wouldn't have caught going through all that.
Well, but I said, and I'm not suggesting that's not the case. The accessibility of music is one thing, but why do you have to get rid of the record store? I mean, as Christian, our sound engineer, said, vinyl's making a comeback. We produced a vinyl album.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and I know. And listen, I have a record player again because it's kind of fun, but I have this many albums before.
Again.
I had this many albums on 4.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Well, Greg and I were talking in the break, and Greg brought up a really great point about album art. Remember, you would just sit there and just look at and I brought up Queen's News of the World with the robot killing them and stuff like that. Yep. You mentioned Earth, Wind, and Fire.
What was your favorite record? Yeah, remember the album? Remember the album on Earth, Wind? I mean, album cover on Boston.
Oh yeah.
Remember, remember that stuff?
Spaceship.
Or I saw Pink Floyd Off the Wall.
What's Pyromania?
Steve Miller's Horse.
Yeah. What was your favorite records for?
The tower across from
Sports Arena.
You go
next to Foggy's Notion.
Next to Foggy's Notion. You go to a concert, like I don't want to go in there early. Let's go over to Tower Records and just look at stuff.
So there was a hierarchy of records. So there was the cool record shop, was the Licorice Pizza in Pacific Beach. That I'm going to Licorice Pizza. That was kind of it wasn't bougie.
No.
It was kind of cool though, because it wasn't Warehouse. Now there was the Warehouse, which was basically the Vons, the Ralphs, the Costco,
right?
Yeah. Which was fine. I enjoyed that. But Tower Records was that place where the musicians went, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Am I accurate?
That's a fact.
Yeah. See, that's so funny.
Yeah.
So the session musicians all go to Tower Records. I think Tower Records was the first place that had tobacco paraphernalia. I think they had in the case called tobacco paraphernalia.
Blacklight posters.
Tower Records. Was for your cigarettes?
Of course.
Okay. You can roll your own,
way too well.
You can roll your own cigarettes. But here's the thing: is I wonder, sincerely, what would happen to the record business if they brought back vinyl anyway? And what's interesting is a couple things that I'm learning, and I don't pretend to be a professional at this, but you don't sell what are called units anymore. You're not selling albums. The way they do it these days is single in January, single in February, single, EP, extended play. Single, EP, and then they'll release an album. Okay. So, and the reason they do that is stretch it out.
Sure.
Well, I will tell you why.
It's brilliant.
The DSPs,
What's
the
DSP?
digital streaming platforms.
Yeah.
You want to get on radar release or these playlists that Spotify puts out that everyone listens to, and you can only submit one a month. So that's why.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, that's why you release one track at a time. So if you release 6 at a time, you only have a chance of one of those getting on a playlist. So you can't. That's why they do it that way.
Thank you, Phil Spector.
No kidding.
I'm so important.
But here's the other thing too. Yeah. Here's the other thing though I want to know about is that if that single came out, would you go buy? I think that people would go buy a 45 of that single if they were available.
As long as you sold that little thing in the middle that would, put it on the round table.
That was called. You know what it's called?
I do not.
Spindle. A biscuit.
Oh, what did you call it?
Spindle or biscuit?
Spindle or biscuit.
This is the spindle. Yeah. That's the biscuit.
Not having one.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And you try to place it perfectly on.
I took duct tape. I took duct tape to the big. Try to press it. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm wondering also. I just don't because look at as far as money to the musicians goes. 1 million streams, they pay you either 0.003 up to 0.005 cents per stream. That means 1 million streams. 1 million streams gets you $3,000 to $5,000. Average album costs about $300,000 to produce. Yeah. So I understand sort of why the new marketing is, let's sell our music to Netflix, let's sell our music to a movie, and then let's go tour and sell merchandise, because that's the new business model. Mm-hmm. Yep. But I'm just wondering if there's another business model out there. Again, bring back the records along with the digital. Would you?
I mean, I think Taylor, I know, has Taylor Swift has albums available on her website. I think that they're for purchase.
It begs to answer the question: were they making more money now or then? What do you think? Think they're making more money now? I'm not talking about terms. I'm talking about inflation adjusted.
I think then.
You think they were making more money then?
Yeah, with the record stores and the albums stuff.
Not including unless you're Taylor Swift and you're selling out big
Who's
stadiums.
they? The musician?
No, the business. Just the business, music business.
The music business.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd say
retailers.
I'd say they're making more money now.
What do you think?
Because I think now because of technology.
Yeah.
In the words of Jared Coleman, our Emmy Award-winning director, who listens to me for the last 10 years, remember I always say stocks return to the mean? Say stock prices always return to the mean?
Yeah.
Look at this graphic here. 1980, if you look at the graphic here on terms of what the record sales were, in terms of, in 1980, adjusted for inflation, $12 billion. Look what they are today, $15 billion. It's about the same right now as it was then.
Oh,
and that's the tail of the tape. That comes from Statista.
But the CDs when it was highest, interesting.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
In 2000, when it was a CD player, a disc player, that was the way it went.
I just love the
You
sound
had the five. You had the five.
record.
Of the vinyl?
Of a vinyl.
Oh, here we go. I bought that green album with the pink flamingo right in the middle of it, and I went to Tower Records and bought it for Christopher Cross.
Yep.
Big Biz
Great
Show.
song.
So much more coming up. Stand by. I wish Costa was here to sing some crappy version.
Oh, me too.
Listen, babe.
Don't you miss it?
Oh, come on.
That awful noise.
There's several awful noises.
There's something about an awful noise.
Hey, we had a guest on the air when I was out of town. I think it was in Europe, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Saving lives.
Yeah.
You realize that I do nothing for a living. I'm just an entertainer. Doesn't that stink?
And a darn good one, boss.
Thank you. Andrew Warburton is the founder and president of Kind-1 Technology. Of course, they are embracing the future of real estate. I'm so sorry you had to be subject to Mike Costa, who hosted last time.
We actually had a good time.
I'm sure you did.
It went pretty well.
Never got to the point. Nobody ever saw your show. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah.
It was.
No, it was still a good time.
I did watch it. And it was fantastic. It was good. I wanted to have you back.
Thank you.
For those people that didn't pick it up last time, and for the international audience on Bloomberg EU, which we're doing a pilot for, talk about top down. What are you guys up to?
Look, it's a platform that we've brought out, a destination for buyers, sellers, and agents to come together. It's AI-certified agents. We bring all three of them together to create a win-win environment. And our industry is like super, super traditional. It tends to be sides. I came to America from London and had nothing, and out of nothing was able to create.
Yeah, well, you were 4 years old, so fair enough.
I was 6. So why not bring people together? So the whole idea of iConnect is a platform.
What is an AI-certified agent?
I just wrote that question down too.
Yeah, Siri asked it, actually. Go.
It's a little bit like a dating site. When you swipe right and swipe left, see a picture and the person's nothing like it. Agents have been a lot like that. You swipe right, swipe left, pick an agent, there's the picture, what do you get? Right? So performance, availability, all those factors that consumers want, rather than the things that agents push on them.
Do you think consumers don't spend enough time conducting due diligence on agents?
100%.
Me too.
Absolutely.
I think it's like who's the guy or gal's name on the picture of the house, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you drill down.
Well, now the internet makes it easier to do that, and now your company.
If we would do it, I don't think we're doing it. There's no easy on-ramping way to do it. That's what you've created, right?
That's exactly right.
That's great.
And you got to think Rich Barton. That was a huge revolution. Really, we've got the same industry we had in 1905. People don't really think about this. It's the same industry as 1905. 1940, after the 20s, people were doing the same thing they are now. Now Rich comes along, all of this transparency of information. Transparency is the future, right? But still with agents, how do you really find out about them? So we've built AI, and you certify their performance, see how available they are. That will affect you as a consumer. Now you can search them, tap on them, video conference with them.
Wow.
In-app, totally secure, no threat, no cold calls, no sales calls.
Oh, wow.
Right?
So you're picking agent first, home second type?
Yeah, you just go onto our iConnect map, zoom in, tap the dot, open it up, look at their profile, read about them, tap the communicate, in-app communicate. Now you interview, you decide, do I like this guy, do I like this girl, don't I? If you do, check out this. Now you assign what we call an iConnect opportunity, right? If the agent accepts it, you now have literally released an appointment, and now with our tracking technology, if I meet you at 2 o'clock on Saturday to see a home, I can see your car coming to the house, you can see my car coming to the house. You got total transparency beginning to end. And to Sully's point, we have not been able to do that until now. Look, using an agent's like blind dating. It's exactly the same. Even if
it is. It's
look,
true.
even if it's a referral.
I can't tell you how many times I walk in to look at a house and turn right around because the person there just
100%.
like I'm out.
But you're real strong. A lot of people, particularly first-time buyers, second-time home buyers, they don't know. They don't know how to say no. They don't know how, right? So they're embarrassed. Now you go.
Yeah, they trust the process. I mean, I know I used my brother-in-law because I didn't know where to start.
Why was that a mistake?
So I feel this. Oh, you see, and that's the whole thing. You use somebody because you trust.
Yeah.
So how can we create a platform where you have trust with somebody you don't know?
Because
that's the question to
Because I think at the end of the day, you're saying, well, I should trust them because the person listening to the house trusted them, so they might be okay. I mean, and that's as far as decision making goes, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, or you trust a dentist because he fixed a filling, but now you've got multiple implants. You go to the same dentist.
Right.
So you trust an agent because they help you buy your condo. Now you want to do a 1031X on multiple apartments. Is it the same person? And how do you sort that person? And if they say that they're full-time, was that full-time 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago? What about the last 5 months? I'm buying a house right now, not 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So by the way, the whole way our industry is structured is changing. I go to all these conferences like you do. You go on the stage, it's the same stage, essentially, that I went to 40 years ago. You have super intelligent people coming on board. The big changes are transparency of data. That's Rich Barton's whole gig, right? And the second is how we now manipulate data to discover who's the highest intent buyer or seller. That's changed. But the way the thing operates has not changed, literally since 1905. Now the 4 principles of real estate are under the microscope at the same time. Property availability, crisis. Interest rates, crisis. Not as high as when I came here to America, but still nonetheless high, right? So agents, crisis. The whole way we're being changed. Sitzer Burnett, the Department of Justice, Consumer Federation of America, crisis. All of these crises are coming together. We need a new stage.
Okay, so here's my question. 2 questions. The second one's going to be, what's the business? I'll give you a chance to think about that one. Let's say I have a house over here that I want and an agent over here that I match with. How do you match those 2 together? Now she's buyer's rep for me at that point?
Yeah, got it.
Now what if I've already listed my home with someone? I don't know the rules on this. What happens when you decide that I'm going to try this AI platform here and I'm going to match with a better agent?
As the seller or the buyer?
As a seller.
So as a seller, it's tricky. So this is another thing that's changing. So through NAR and CAR, there are all these protection systems. I'm sure you're really familiar with what's going on. So this is protectionism, essentially. It's much like when I grew up as a boy. I would go with mum to the shops to help her to bring the groceries home. But every year, as I grew up with Harold Wilson, I'm sure you know about Harold Wilson, every September, every October, every November, you'd either have gas or coal would go on strike. Why? Because as it got colder in England, I'm sorry to say it, eventually elderly would pass away. Yeah. And so now you've got this pressure, you just talked about it, for higher base pay, right? So this whole idea, when they had sympathy strikes, you went to the stores, you couldn't get food, it was this whole idea of government intervention, right? You just addressed so well. So the same in the real estate industry. NAR and CAR have protected a certain structure of commission sharing. So now part of that is you can't break your contract. If you list a home and try and break a contract, it's extremely difficult to do. Similarly now, there's a buyer-broker agreement. It's been out a long time, right? You can't break it. So what the Consumer Federation of America is pressing for, what the DOJ is pressing for is, hey guys, let's have an open capitalist base here. The whole idea of capitalism is that people have choice. So let's have a free choice. Let's not lock people into contracts. So the new buyer-broker contract, you're allowed to cancel it at the will of the agent or the consumer. Now I answer your question.
That's free market economy. Fine.
Now that's it. Right. So, but for the seller, still not there. For the buyer, sorry if I'm.
Okay, no, that's good. Here, but I think I see on your
hopefully I answered
on your buyer. No, which makes me think, how much time did you spend finding your house or your land, compared to finding your broker? I spent 0 time.
Oh my gosh.
Like 0.
Yeah.
Yeah. You spend, let's go visit 6 houses, and whatever broker's assigned to it is what you get. So this has got to be a buyer's rep sort of platform for now.
It's actually both, but I would say the predominant crisis is for the buyer rep, yeah. And it's availability. Look, you work extremely hard. Bob works extremely hard at biotech in San Diego. He's coming back. He's got an hour off work. He's got 1 hour. Needs to go home, tell his wife, we can go in and see 123 Main Street. Can't reach the broker. The broker comes back because he's doing life-work balance, you know, 3 days later, but this guy's missed his opportunity. So we do this whole thing. We track them in real time. You can actually go on as a consumer, tap on it, see who's available, tap on the in-app communication, set your appointment, all in real time. This idea of tomorrow, it's right now. Everything else we do in our economy is that way. Think about even brokerages, Robinhood, and all that stuff. How you can, my kid taps on and buys 1/10 of a stock in Tesla. He's 14. Of course, he does it through my account, but you get the idea.
You got to come back with us again. That's fantastic. His name's Andy Warburton. Founder and president of Kind-1 Technology, iConnect.com. And the app's name is?
iConnect.
iConnect.
C-O-N-N-C-T.
Yep. All right, C-O-N-N-C-T. There you go. Andrew, come back with us, would you?
Thank you very much.
Stuff.
Would love to.
This show. See you in a minute.
Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, our affiliates, and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any persons, or that investment in such securities would be profitable in general.
Given the nature of our company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for their securities, and investing is highly speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its host for the profile coverage.
3, 2, 1. From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stock if we are speaking about, interviewing, or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully. Duh.
And read the investor information available on the website.
On the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, at www.sec.gov.
Or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
Well, we covered our legal bases, apparently.
Yep.
Big Biz Show, BigBizShow.com. 125 million TV homes strong. BizTV, Armed Forces Radio Network and Television Services, as well as Bloomberg Financiero. Great to have you along today. Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todoroff, our executive producer, Mike Costa, nowhere to be found. I'm thinking 48-hour mandatory.
Might be.
What is that called? A 1048 or whatever?
150.
And of course, the Big Biz Show band. There you go. Thanks, James.
Wow.
James, the only one who gets paid. James is the only one who gets a paycheck today. He's the only one who rehearsed that. Hey, Paul Travers is a frequent guest and one of my favorite guys. He's CEO and president of Vuzix. Vuzix is a publicly traded company under the stock symbol VUZI. We heard from Vuzix, if I'm not mistaken, from one of their shareholders.
I believe so.
We got him on the air. He was in studio just a few weeks ago showing us probably the coolest thing.
Try those glasses on. I want a pair.
I do too.
Yeah. This is basically the next gen of where we're all going in life, in a practical way, not in a way that's almost impossible to use. iVision, sorry. They're recently entering into the AR space, as I just said, iVision Pro. But these guys have figured out a way to fit into the picture on day-to-day life and work environment that is pretty much uncomparable. And I'm going to let him spend a few minutes talking about it. Paul, great to have you along today, sir. Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise, Sully. Thanks for having me.
What is this? Did you hole up and decide not to shave and turn into Ernest Hemingway over the line?
Man, does he have a nice beard.
He has a great beard.
Smokes.
Fantastic. Hey, take it from the top for those people who haven't heard you before, because I think it's important to reset here on what you're doing and until we get you in studio again here in the next couple of weeks. But talk about that.
Yeah, we make smart glasses. And when we started, Sully, we were making glasses that were like these big VR headsets that you see even today, like Meta sells. And we learned quickly that if you actually were going to go to work with them, And by the way, these first pair we made were for consumers to play games. Duke Nukem, Quake, and all those games was 1993, so it's quite some time ago. Yeah, we've been at this. We learned up front, though. We were working for the U.S. military. We were trying to make products for enterprise where you actually go to work. And these great big heavy things obviously didn't work and wouldn't work. To try to pick parts out of a warehouse for 8 hours with a VR headset just doesn't make any sense. And so we've been on a path to make fashion-forward, lightweight glasses that you can use for a full shift. And you can see the pair behind me with the yellow helmet safety. Those things weigh ounces compared to pounds for our competition. And we have companies today that use those glasses 24/7 in warehousing, distribution centers. We have doctors that use them in the operating theater, Doctors Without Borders. One doctor's down in, let's say, Africa someplace, and he needs help doing this open heart surgery that he's learning a new technique for. The expert that's in San Diego puts the glasses. The guy in Africa has got the glasses on. The expert sitting at a terminal, like a Zoom terminal. It's a special one for HIPAA compliance. And he can literally draw on the screen, and the doctor who's doing the operation, looking at the heart, have a circle over the portion of the heart that he might have to do the work. So these remote support, remote helping, remote teaching tools, maintenance kinds of applications, there's a whole bunch of them out there in enterprise. The opportunity is literally going to be in the 10, 20, 30 million units annually kind of basis. So it's a $1 billion industry for enterprise, but it's taking time. The applications take time to catch up. This is a space where IT departments have to get involved. That's happening, though, for Vuzix. Where it's really getting exciting for us, though, is when we were working with the Special Forces guys, they asked if we could make glasses that looked like Oakley-style sunglasses so they could get rid of their tough book. That's right. Fashion-forward glasses that people will wear every day of the week. And to do that, we've had to develop some really amazing technology at Vuzix. We have a manufacturing facility here that makes these things called waveguides. This pair of glasses right here has waveguides built into them. And you put these guys on, you guys got to play with them once when I brought them in studio. And you see images floating out in front of you like they, belong there, but they're 2 or 3 feet out in front of you. They can be connected to the real world. They can be connected using AI. What am I looking at? There's applications like mapping services. How many times you walk outside and you're in New York City trying to find the Italian restaurant, and you keep looking down at the phone and trying to, with the glasses on, literally the arrow will be painted on the road in front of you, showing you how to get to the Italian restaurant.
Paul, I remember when you were in studio here, and one of the pairs of glasses that we were experimenting with had kind of I think it was meant for the operating theater, and it showed the blood pressure and the heart rate and everything else, which is fantastic. And I guess my question is, I'm assuming from talking to you, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because as technology gets more robust and there's more adoption on the product, the sky's the limit. What's next, do you think?
This is what's so cool about how connected everything is today. With a connection to the internet, AI engines running, you're going to have your own personal attendant with you 24/7, helping you get through life, making sure you're getting the things that you want, that you care about. When you're in the store buying products, how many calories does it have? Did it get made by child labor? All of these kinds of things. It's just going to open up the connectivity of the real world and the digital world together, which is hard to do today. People are trying to do it with augmented reality on the phone. You point the phone at the space in front of you and you look at the back screen. You're not going to have to do any of that. Put the glasses on, you don't need a phone anymore. You can dial, you can talk, you can pick your favorite country music. All of this stuff will just happen through voice and connectivity, and the entire web connected to the real world will be at your beck and call.
Hey, Paul, how far away are we from that? From one of us being able to go buy a pair of those and go into the grocery store and check to see how much calories are in a Funyun pack?
So we have a partner firm that we're working with right now. They're an AI company, and they've developed the applications to do that today. And our higher end units You could do that in a store today, but they're expensive and they look a little odd, like the yellow safety glasses helmet. The stuff that looks like this is coming right around the corner.
So for you, what kind of market size do we have here? I mean, is there? I mean, the business has got to be in the billions at some point.
Well, you think about it for a minute. Let's just compare it to the smartwatch.
Yeah.
There are 300 million smartwatches sold a year right now. 300 million smartwatches a year. These waveguides that we sell as part of these glasses, they can sell for about, let's say, $50 a piece in a pair of glasses. You need a pair of them. So $100 times 300 units. I mean, it's, and being able to make those waveguides, having good margin on them at those kinds of price points, there is not many, if any, companies on the world that can do
Paul Travers, President and CEO of Vuzix, super exciting. Our favorite client and product. I mean, you could be on every day if you want. Because we can talk about it. Paul Travers, of course, Vuzix.com. Stock symbols VUZI. Look at that pair there. My goodness.
They're so cool.
Smart glasses for the connected workplace. Thanks, Paul. See you soon.
You're welcome.
Big Biz Show. BigBizShow.com. Look at that. I want that exact pair.
Yep.
The little Buddy Holly action.
Right.
Good stuff. We'll see you in a minute.
Big Biz Show. Another beautiful day in Southern California. We are in the Loft 100 studios. More specifically, Carlsbad, California. No, it's not home of the Caverns. Costa, Mary Godwin, Greg Todorov, our executive producer.
That's right.
That guy's Sully.
Hey, we had such a great conversation. We had such a great conversation I think it was last week before last, with Derek Dresselhuys, who is the CEO of S Incorporated, stock symbol GWH. About long-term energy storage. And man, all of the articles in the news in the last week about long-term or long-duration energy storage. I mean, it's Eric, when you have your cell phone and you're having dinner with your wife and you talk about I want to go to Barbados and she wants to go to Croatia, and suddenly everything on your phone is Barbados, Croatia.
Yep.
The phones must have been listening, or the news must have been listening, because I'm seeing so much news about long duration energy storage. Did you notice that in the last couple of weeks? Because this is a cycle, isn't it? I mean, we got blasted the last couple of weeks with this stuff.
Yeah, it's been a little, maybe that's just the way news cycles go, but New York Times, huge article, and then about 5 articles followed that.
I know, it was just
within
nuts.
a day. It's really everywhere.
Well, so what has changed? And we'll go back, because we picked up Bloomberg EU as a pilot so they can watch the show, and that audience, which is about 25 million, have not seen your stories. We're going to take it from the top of you, but just to start off with, what has changed in the energy storage space that makes it? I mean, it was as important last year as this year. Why suddenly all the attention?
Well, I think it actually is getting a little bit more important, and there's a couple of things driving it. The first is, there's a lot of talk these days about what the impact on the total energy system from things like AI are going to be, right? So if you think AI is an energy hog, right? So you need to have more energy, more electricity to provide the power for AI. And then you combine that with things like the war in Ukraine, which is for your EU audience, has been a huge issue, because the previous plan had been to rely on Russian gas, and that's how we were going to keep the lights on. And that doesn't seem like such a good plan anymore. So people are trying to find ways to ensure we have resiliency and reliability, and that's where long duration kicks in. It's really the only way to ensure that we can keep the lights on going forward.
Eric, as far as your race, energy storage, green energy, you guys are at the top of the pyramid. How many other people, though, are nipping at your heels to get where you are?
Well, there's, the world's woken up to it, and you can't have a huge market without having a lot of people kind of decide they want to get into it. The advantage that we have is we've been doing it longer. So most of the alternatives are still in the lab, and there's still ideas. And maybe some of those will come together and they'll turn into real products. A lot of them will fill and fall by the wayside. The other ways we've had to do this historically are just frankly too expensive or too hard to do. So when people ask how long have we been doing energy storage, I usually pull up a picture of the Hoover Dam. Right? And say, we've been doing it for a long time. The problem is doing things like hydro are environmentally, almost impossible to permit these days. And, anybody that's tried to build a house recently knows, inflation is a bad guy for things like construction costs, whereas we have a technology curve, so our stuff's getting cheaper as time goes by, not more expensive.
Hey, Eric, for those folks that have not heard your story behind S Inc. and GWH, which is a stock symbol, you can go to sinc.com. That's ESSinc.com. Talk on a very high level on what you guys do so folks can get familiar with it that haven't seen you before.
Yeah, so we've built a battery that stores energy using iron, salt, and water. So it's got a really low cost point. It's really safe. And importantly, we can source all the materials locally. So we build these batteries here in just outside of Portland, Oregon, and we ship them all over the world. We made a big announcement of a new customer in Africa this week. We're doing projects in Australia and in Europe. What appeals to people is that you've got a battery that can store energy for 8, 10, 12 hours or more. You can do that in a way that's really safe. So some of the problems that lithium batteries have had are avoided. They kind of tend to start on fire, which is a bad thing. And then the last thing is people I think are really excited about the fact that we're building these batteries here in the U.S. So so much of the technology we buy in the world of energy in general comes from China and other places. And we're part of this trend of bringing it back to the U.S. and building it here locally.
Eric Dresselhuys, CEO of S Incorporated, stock ticker symbol GWH, with us here on the Big Biz Show. Eric, there was a while there where products made in the United States, people in other countries would say, "Oh, it was made in the United States." Has that flipped now, where other countries, in particular, what you're building, your company is making, say, "Oh yeah, that's what we want from the United States"?
Oh yeah, 100%. People, not just the products, but people like doing business with American companies. We're honest, we fulfill our contractual obligations, and so I think that this idea, there's this concept of friendshoring that's come up. So I look at like our friends in Australia or some of the projects we're doing in Europe. We buy components from those places. They buy products from us. Everybody's really good trading partners. Rule of law is the rule of the day. And I think that's what people are looking for as we're transitioning the kind of the core infrastructure that keeps our houses heated and our businesses running. They want to buy stuff from people that they know and trust.
Eric, one last question for you, and I love that you're back on the air with us. It's obviously very timely. So you brought up something to us when we first met, and it was called energy transition. I'm sure you remember. You probably say that a lot. How do you prepare as a company for energy transition? Because that means transition into the infrastructure, transition to adoption rates on how we're going to, are we buying the fact that it's going to happen? Talk to us about your strategies as a company for that, because you have to be, this is like an everyday thing for you.
Oh yeah, we live the life every day. And the thing that I think is hard for people is we kind of take the infrastructure we have for granted. The poles and the wires, the roads and the sewers and everywhere, everything that goes into our core infrastructure. We've built that up over 150, 200 years.
Yeah, right.
And now we're going to transition it all in the next 30 years. And so the scale at which we're going is really, mind-bending. You have to just think about doing things at a scale that you've never thought of before. And that means, going bigger, going faster, driving cost out, making it easier to do. And that's what we spend our days thinking about.
Well, his name, of course, Eric Dresselhuys, CEO of S Inc. That's ESS Inc. And their stock symbol, of course, GWH. So great to have him on the air with us. And once again, you can go to sinc.com, ESSinc.com. There he is with the man from Congress that's pushing this thing through.
What is it? Water,
salt, and tequila. It's called a ranch water.
Yep.
Little lime on top.
Delicious.
Delicious. What do you know about alcohol? That it's delicious, and I love it.
What's it from?
Mike and Dave need wedding dates. That does it for us. That wraps up a Tuesday. We'll see you on Wednesday. See you later. Bye.